Tim, thanks for joining us here this morning with me, Hardy, Michael Holley, John Wallach, and you have several things that you wrote about that you're looking at for the Red Sox as they get underway in the unofficial second half of the season here. Full disclosure, the how they will do against this next stretch of games. It doesn't mean as much to me that they're playing against the National League teams, but I think these first, say, 3 sets out of the All-Star break are so telling. They have been for a lot of teams in years past, but specifically for the Red Sox. So lay it out for us. Who are they playing? And I know you gave the different scenarios, but I'm more interested to think how you think they will fare against these teams.
Well, they're going to start this afternoon with the Cubs. There'll be 3 games against the Cubs and then 3 games against the Phillies, who lead the National League East. And then they come back next weekend to host the Dodgers for 3 games. So it'll be 9 games in a week and a half against the 3 clubs atop the NL divisions, which, as Craig Breslow put it, is a gauntlet. And he's not wrong. That'll bring us to trade deadline week, and we'll see where the Red Sox stand then as Breslow and company decide which additions to make to bolster the roster for the playoff run. But it's going to be a great test for the Red Sox, who won 10 in a row going into the break, and most of that against bad teams. They did sweep the Rays, of course, one of their AL East and wild card competitors. But how they make out in this stretch is going to provide a lot of clarity, I think, about how good the Red Sox are and not just how hot they were going into the break. As I laid out in the article, which you referenced, I think if you come out of this with a winning record, even just 5-4, that's a success. I think they'd sign up for that right now. If they go 4-5 and barely have a losing record, they might even still have a playoff spot by the end of it. That's not a disaster. 3-6, that's it. It's not great. 6-3, then that would be elation against the best of the best against the NL. So, the best part about baseball, of course, is we get to find out.
Tim, is crazy. You said you've been covering the Red Sox for about a month and a half, and it's like you've covered 2 different teams, maybe even 3 different teams. You came in covering a team dysfunctional. The DH doesn't want to play first, doesn't want to play third. Team is struggling. Team starts winning. They trade the DH. They start struggling again, and now they're on a 10-game winning streak. So the talk radio way of looking at it, which is the way I prefer, is, hey, look, they turned their season around after they got rid of Rafael Devers. And everybody responded after Devers left. Is that accurate? Do you think if you had to just bottom line it now, would you say everything fell into place after they got some clarity with the Devers situation?
Did they start playing better? Yes. Did they start scoring even more runs after subtracting probably their best hitter? Yes, that is factually true. Does a lot go into it? Also, yes. You guys played that clip from Ken Rosenthal coming out of the break, and he made a great point about Lucas Giolito and Brian Bayo, to name 2, suddenly pitching out of their minds and giving the Red Sox some major rotation stability behind Garrett Crochet. And what does that have to do with the Rafael Devers trade? Pretty much nothing. Those guys just figured it out in their own ways and have been quite good. Giolito especially, a .7 ERA over his past 6 starts. So, yeah, the Red Sox look like they're rolling, and they have the DH spot freed up, which was huge for giving, for example, Roman Anthony a ton of playing time. And he has been great after a slow first couple of weeks in the majors. So, there's a lot to like about the Red Sox right now, and I think one of the things to like is that the guys they have are willing to do what it takes largely for the team, and that means playing whatever position they're asked. I think on any given night they have 3 or 4 guys playing something other than their natural position. So I think that speaks volumes about where they're at.
Garrett Crochet is very close to his career high in innings, which he set last season, and that was after the White Sox kind of babied him for the last 2 or 3 months. What can we expect from him? Is there any concern as far as you are concerned about his durability moving forward?
It's something I am wondering about. It's not something that I am concerned about. He has thrown 129 innings, I want to say, something in that range, and is going to exceed his personal high from last year sometime in the next couple of weeks. And, I asked Crochet about it. I asked Breslow about it. I asked pitching coach Andrew Bailey about it. And it seems that Crochet should be pretty much good to go carrying this heavy workload the rest of the way. And, baseball has evolved in a funny way in this sense, because it wasn't that long ago, just a few years ago, the norm in the industry would be, okay, he threw 140 innings last year. This year he's going to max out at, 165 or 170, some arbitrary number a little higher than the year before. Now it's all about high-tech analysis and strength tests and looking at a guy's range of motion. One thing Craig Breslow mentioned as a factor is tissue quality. I would not have the faintest idea how to evaluate tissue quality.
You say tissue quality?
That's weird.
Breslow's talking about tissue quality?
Yes. Literally, his muscles and tendons and whatnot. I guess.
Does Craig Breslow have trouble talking with people on a daily basis?
So it's very sophisticated now, and the bottom line with the innings totals and workload and all that is that if they do a strength test, for example, and see red flags, then that's when they'll consider changes and maybe reel a guy in. If the strength tests and whatnot and the tissue quality continues to be strong, then he's good to go. Just keep pitching how he's been pitching. So it sounds like Garrett Crochet is gunning for our 200 innings, and seems like he'll get there.
Okay, good news on the tissue quality, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, fingers crossed on that. The trade deadline expectations and all that stuff. John, I think you brought it up, or maybe it was Michael. The different teams that you've had to follow here over the last month and a half. It's just. It's wild, because my opinion has changed in terms of what they should do and what would make the most sense for them right now. I guess going back before the break, though, Tim, did you see anything in that team post Devers that would have led to that 10-game winning streak? And I guess maybe more importantly, as you're trying to think about what you should wish for before the deadline here, is there any fool's gold in that 10-game win streak that they put together?
Well, probably a little bit, because 10-game win streaks inherently are flukes, right? It doesn't matter how good or how bad you actually are. If you win 10 in a row, you got a little lucky, you got a little fortunate, and that's fine. I think, you'll take that.
I mean, the Nationals and the Rockies, yes. I mean, there's some obvious fool's gold right there. But the sweeping of the Rays, I mean,
that's awesome. Yeah, and they're winning one-run games. They're playing much better defense. Yes, they crushed the bad pitching and scored a ton of runs, a comical amount of runs in a 1-week stretch against the terrible teams. And then they proved it a little bit against the Rays, who have much better pitching, who are an actual competitor. And so fool's gold a little bit, yes, but 10 wins is 10 wins. And 53 and 45, no matter what the end of the first half looked like, you're 8 games over 500 at the deadline, or at the All-Star break. And for all the ups and downs and mini seasons within the season, as you referenced, after all of that, they're in this spot, which is 3 games back in the division, holding the second AL wild card. And I think everybody involved, including fans, would have signed up for that at this juncture coming into the season. So the trade deadline is going to be interesting because they're in a spot where they need to add. And Craig Breslow said in June, before the team figured itself out at the time of the Devers trade, that he expects the Red Sox to be buyers. And now they are very much in the position to be buyers. None of that sort of half-measure stuff from last year or the years before that.
You know what, Tim, I should have asked you this at the beginning as part of an intro, but I'll ask at the end. I'll just ask you about the job for you. I mean, You've been on it not that long, and you think about some of the legends who have covered the Red Sox for the Globe, from Peter Gammons to Dan Shaughnessy to Tony Maz. What's it like for you, kind of walking in those shoes? What's it like just covering the Red Sox for the Boston Globe?
It's awesome, and it's crazy. You know, it's certainly not lost on me, the history of this job and how big the shoes are to fill through the decades. And, you know, my previous job was awesome, too. I covered the Mets for Newsday in New York, and it was awesome. The only baseball beat job I would have left for was this one, because it's covering the Red Sox, and it's covering the Red Sox for the Globe, and that's a huge honor, and I'm very happy to be here. And so far, so good. I know the team will always keep it interesting one way or another. So it's very cool to have this job and to be back in Boston.
Yeah, welcome back. BU guy, Tim Healey, here with the Boston Globe. Yeah, and nothing has changed in the 7 years you've been gone. The Boston University, everything around there looks exactly the same.
Right.
Fenway Park looks exactly the same. Actually, you know what? 7 years, it probably hasn't changed that much. Zolak was great. Zolak made his first trip down to Fenway probably in 15 years. He's like,
oh, wow.
He's like, wow, it's really built up around there.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time you were at Fenway?
Jesus.
Yeah, good grief.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, thanks, man. If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.